I had a hobby too. Mine happened to be guns and ballistics, and I studied guns and ballistics as much as I could, and I wrote an article about high velocity.
So out of all my years working at Weatherby, the last 5 have been some of the most exciting. Working with Adam, with him running the company.
And to think that I get the opportunity of carrying on my grandfather's legacy 75 years later here in Sheridan, Wyoming, I mean, it really is a dream come true.
Oh, I'm home. Thank God I'm home.
On Our Mark, the Weatherby podcast.
All right, here we are, the Weatherby podcast. We have an exciting week here at Weatherby. Around the table with a bunch of exciting dudes here that have been able to use these products in the field. Essentially, this week we launched a whole new line of Mark Vs, with the flagship model being the Backcountry Ti in combination with the cartridge of the 6.5 WBY RPM. I'm Kevin Wilkerson, the marketing director.
Luke Torkelson, Vice President, Sales, Marketing, and Product Development.
Mike Glass, Custom Sales Manager.
And I'm Adam Weatherby. I do a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything, a lot of hunting.
So we launched a whole new Mark V line. We also launched a new website.
Yeah, that's true.
It's been a lot of heavy lifting around here lately, and it all pretty much dropped Tuesday, the day after Labor Day.
Yeah, it was a busy weekend, busy couple months, but it's an exciting time here, and really to launch the combination of both the Backcountry Ti as the flagship rifle in that lineup, and the cartridge. Adam, why don't you kind of give everybody a little look behind the curtain as to what the vision was on that combination?
You bet. I get excited about projects. You guys know we have a lot of things that we do internally, and we all get excited about them. But this project, the Backcountry Ti, teamed up with the 6.5 WBY RPM, is one that I got really passionate about. And it really dates back some years now where, our Mark V, a lot of people, that don't understand maybe the Weatherby actions, very well. We have 2 sizes of actions. The original Mark V, my grandpa created in 1958. It's got 9 locking lugs in it, and it can take up to the 460 Weatherby mag.
And when we say 9 locking lugs, on the front of the bolt,
right,
where it interacts with the inside of the receiver.
Yep.
Right. Best way to. There are literally 9.
Correct.
Lugs.
We're like traditionally most have 2. Some now have 3.
3 sections of 3.
3 rows
3
of
times
3.
Equals 9.
That's
that
right.
lock into the receiver.
And giving it a 54-degree bolt lift.
Exactly.
And just super strong action, right? And so it's kind of the defining aspect of the Mark V. We had, when we moved, our production of Mark Vs for years was in Japan. It was U.S., Germany, Japan, back to U.S., been all over. But it's been in the U.S. now for many decades. When it came back here in the 90s, we created a second action, which has 6 locking lugs, which would be 2 times 3.
Literally 6 locking lugs.
Thanks, Kevin.
Yeah, just slowing that one down.
So 2 times 3. It's a thinner, longer action on our 6 lug action. And it's actually built off, for the collectors out there, people, we had an old Varmint Master action, is what it was called.
A lot of requests on the old Varmint Master.
When you have the word master after the word varmint, it's cool. That went away when we moved back to the U.S. in the 90s from Japan. The 6-lug standard action, as we call it around here, is basically an elongated Varmint Master action, giving us today 2 actions, 6-lug standard, 9-lug Magnum, with about a pound, roughly, depending, difference between the 2.
And if you were to look at those 2 actions from the top view, they're about the same length. Not that much shorter.
It's a common misconception that the 6 lugs is short action.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily
it's not a true
short action.
So we've had this, what I've called kind of our best kept secret, and that is our Mark V 6-lug action. It's long and thin, so it can't take Magnum. It doesn't have a Magnum bolt face, okay? So our 257 on up in our Weatherby cartridges, it can't take it in there. And the only one we've had of our Weatherby cartridges is 240.
Yeah.
And then it takes the 0.6, so you get 30-06, 270 Win. We got 6.5 Creedmoor, and some good cartridges in there, but not real ones maybe for longer distance, pushing energy out further. That's been in our line in that 6-lug.
Quote unquote Magnum performance.
Thank you. Yes, as Kevin always says, it's harnesses Magnum performance.
It harnesses it. It's 6-lug.
Yes.
Yep.
So the idea was, let's take this lightweight action. People, when they pick it up, they go, dude, this is a sweet action. And for years, it always been what cartridges are available in it, and I always felt like that's when we didn't win. And so the idea was, let's design a cartridge around an action. I don't know if it was a good idea or not, but
It's
here's what I
different,
did know. At
yeah.
the end of the day, we said, let's make a super sweet lightweight gun, like the best out there, and let's make it harness
Yes.
Magnum performance in it.
Yeah.
And so that's where the 6.5 RPM was created. It stands for Rebated Precision Magnum. And the idea is it has a rebated rim. So on the bottom of the case, instead of having the traditional belt that our first 14 cartridges would have had, it's a rebated rim, so it doesn't belt out, so it fits in the 6-lug action, but still has a fairly wide case. Really, if you were to take the base case off, it would be like the 284 Winchester, which is a rebated rim. Obviously, there's the 6.5 284 Norma that necks down the 284 to a 6.5. Depending on the listeners out there, may have lost some people. Some may be right in there with me. We made our own case, though, and elongated what would have been that 284 or 6.5 284.
It's quite a bit longer than a 284.
It's long.
Yeah.
And so, but it fits in our 6-lug standard action.
Yeah.
And so the whole idea was to be able to do that, and we can build that out in the years to come, possibly. Little hint here, if you're a podcast listener. We could neck that up or down to other cartridges, in theory. We'll see what happens. We said, let's start with the 6.5 because of really the ballistic coefficient of the bullets available out there, the popularity of the 6.5. Let's do that. And so that's what we're able to do.
Yeah.
So we took the 6.5 bullet, and most all the rounds are going over 3,000 feet a second, depending on the bullet weight. And so it's not what our 6.5 300 is. That's available in our 9-lug Magnum action.
Yes.
This is in that 6-lug.
Yeah.
And a big question we've got is, what about the 6.5 PRC and some of these other rounds?
Which is a great cartridge.
A great cartridge.
Great cartridge.
6.5 PRC takes it's a Magnum bolt face, so it would go into a Magnum rifle. So to get the weight savings we were looking at, the whole premise was under 5 pounds Magnum performance. That's what the goal was. So when we started out, it was
At a production rifle price.
thank you.
Also,
Yes.
though, very, very important, though.
True.
It is, truthfully, all those things are very important because you can find some rifles out there for about 10 grand.
They're
Yes.
up there.
That could
And
really put those
you
things
can
together.
find sub 5 pound rifles
that shoot 6.5 Creedmoors,
and
308s.
Okay. But can you combine all that in there? That's what we kind of have been saying over and over again, is a sub 5 pound rifle harnessing
Yep.
Magnum performance at a production rifle price.
Yep.
That's what we set out to do a few years ago. And really with our move to Sheridan, a lot of the new personnel, a lot of our new engineering team, the new bandwidth that we have, we were able to push this thing over the finish line. And so what we were able to do is take that 6.5 Weatherby RPM and put it into this gun. As far as the rifle's concerned, the whole idea was, and really with the cartridge was, since the beginning kind of it was, look, and it was hard. Some things even, I remember Luke, we had the conversation about the Monte Carlo raised cheek piece on the stock.
Yeah, I think you didn't like me for a few minutes.
A lot of people don't like us for a few minutes.
Well, it was the whole idea was we don't have a belt on the case. There's no rounded shoulder on the case. Those are two things we've never done.
Never done it.
We don't have a Monte Carlo, that raised comb. And there's been a couple models over the years, classic mark, but for the most part, it's not there. So there were many non-traditional things that had to happen that a lot of traditional Weatherby folks are probably pretty upset about. And I've seen it on Facebook this last week that Roy would be rolling over in his grave. However, I saw somebody defend that once, and I think it was brilliant, and that was Roy was innovative and far beyond his time, and he would have liked the innovation.
Yeah, for sure.
And so we took and said, cartridge, rifle, all rules aside, we want to do what Kevin said, sub 5 pounds, Magnum performance at production price.
Yeah.
But we had to break a lot of Weatherby rules to do it.
For sure.
Yeah.
But it sets the pace, man. It's what.
Right.
And
it's what,
so
it's what
in
we're
the
doing.
backcountry rifle, so you started talking about it in the stock, was the Monte Carlo. It's a really cool, it's a classic look, but it adds volume. It adds mass to the stock. So we're like,
We saved over 3 ounces.
We got to save some ounces.
Just by that.
There's extra material. There's extra on the exterior. There's more surface area, and then so there's more foam and weight on the inside as well.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that trying to get to that target of sub 5.
Yep.
Had to,
And all of us had
change.
some time to hunt with it a bit.
Yeah.
I don't know any podcast listeners that are also on YouTube. We have a video of the development of it where Adam, you shoot the first
Sure.
animal with both a Backcountry Titanium and a 6.5 Weatherby RPM. But that was a killer hunt.
Yeah.
That was back in May.
Yeah. Yeah, it was coming out, having the first prototypes available in the spring kind of limits your North American big game and different things. And so we found this awesome, amazing kind of backcountry hunt that we were able to do to pack in and do a spot and stock bear hunt. Kev, you were with me and got to carry it in there and test out a lot of the endurance and the lightweight, features of it and different things. And like even the recoil pad, it's just a recoil pad, and usually that's just you just put it on there.
Just a piece of rubber, right?
But, with part of our new team and our new director of engineering, Ben Bryan, really came up with this awesome idea, this 3D Hex recoil pad. But one of my concerns, so it basically deadens the recoil like crazy, which we wanted to do because we knew this was going to be a lightweight gun, and it cut the weight in half of a traditional recoil pad, or more than in half. But it looks somewhat fragile. Mm-hmm. So
that's my biggest concern.
Mine too.
Yeah, we had concerns about it.
And so obviously we did a lot of laboratory testing. Okay.
By that, I literally saw them putting it in a vise.
Yeah.
Well,
and
we did a lot of destructive testing.
Yeah, did a lot of
too,
destructive
cycles
testing.
and all
kinds
of
things. It was pretty legit,
things.
though.
Yeah.
I saw them put some
So
pliers
Ben's from
on
aerospace, and he sent things to literally Mars, literally. So he's like, dude, I know this can hold up. I'm like, yeah, but sometimes in the backcountry, it's more dangerous than Mars. Like, things can happen. And so I remember when I was hiking up, when Joseph, who was with us on the hunt, we were stalking his bear. Shout out Joseph Von Benedict. JVB. We were stalking his bear, and it was straight uphill. And the other guy we were with, Justin.
Yeah, shout out to Justin and Shane. This was a DIY hunt.
Yeah.
But they definitely helped us out tremendously
they were
on getting us on those bears.
On Limitless Outdoors.
Limitless Outdoors.
Shout out.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Thank you.
Killer dude.
So anyways, I think it was Shane
deal.
leaned over to me and was watching us scale this mountain, and he goes, dude, that's a few $1,000 carbon fiber titanium walking stick, that he's using, because he was literally putting it in snow and mud and rocks. And I mean, it was the gnarliest stalk I've ever done for Joseph's bear. I mean, it was, we were climbing up waterfalls basically.
Yeah,
it was
I watched
insane.
it. I ate some Cheerios from the other side of the valley and just watched you guys do it. It was very pleasurable to not have been on that trip.
How steep was it?
It was steep.
Yeah.
I mean, when you say walking stick climbing, I promise you were a couple degrees, and anybody that was with you, Justin, Shane, JVB, would agree that you were a degree off from needing a harness and a rope.
It was insane.
To literally be rock climbing.
Yeah.
It was dangerous and outright maybe just the worst move you could have made. But you guys killed a bear. So.
Yeah, I killed a bear. He killed a bear, and
That's great.
And so that day,
and you abused the rifle in the process.
And not that whole lattice structure there and everything on this patent pending recoil pad held up 100%. And I've had a lot of people, even Joseph was like a little leery about that. He just looks at it like, it looks a little fragile. And Ben, our engineer, will tell us, well, the structural blah blah. He'll tell us in the engineering terms, like, let's take it out there. Right now, I know what it means, and so that was kind of a fun part. I think the lightweight part for me was the day I shot my bear. We packed in 8.5 miles with camp on our backs before I shot my bear that night, and that was like
was it 400 yards?
A little over. I think
it was like 410 or something like that.
And so to have a 5-pound rifle, 4.9-pound rifle on my back that day was like it was cool.
Yeah.
It was
very
cool.
cool. Yeah, scoped up 6.1 pounds.
Yeah.
With the VX5
HD. You can get lighter weight scopes.
You can.
But I wanted a great scope with good glass, and so I went with that one. So and 6.5 RPM, a little over 400 yards. Took a black bear, 4.9-pound rifle. I mean, that's exactly what we created it to do.
Yeah.
So it's cool. I mean, it's fun to be able to do that. Did that with the Launch 6.5 300. I remember my dad, there was a video when the 416 Weatherby launched in the late 80s. I was in junior high, and he went and shot a Cape Buffalo with Craig Boddington over in in Africa. And, so it's fun to be able to do that. And I know Luke was going on a hunt right before me, but I didn't let you take the RPM.
You didn't let me take RPM, just the way the timing worked out. Yeah, I did a bear hunt in the Lolo National Forest up in Montana. And so I took the 6.5 300 and the Backcountry Ti. My gun scoped up. I was using a Leupold VX3i, and I believe it was 615 all in on the Magnum 9 lug action, which is amazing. Yeah. Sling everything.
Magnum
included.
action.
Yeah.
So you're talking 300 Weatherby, 6.5 300.
Yeah.
Big time stuff.
Big time. So it happened. I think it was a delight to carry in the backcountry. And I used to, talk about Weatherby calibers. People, must kick like crazy. I always used to say, well, yeah, you got to pay for it. Your shoulders got to pay for it at some point, right? Either carrying the rifle the whole time or, the one time in the shot. So with this new recoil pad, it's unbelievable.
It's a game changer.
It's not just lighter. Like that's one of the biggest benefits, but it's so hard to describe with words without seeing and feeling one. But I was trying to describe it to my dad the other day, and it's like, when you frog somebody, you like make a knuckle and hit them in the arm.
That's frogging?
Yeah, that's what I used to call it.
That's
like you frog somebody.
Have you heard this?
Yeah.
Like a Charlie horse?
Yeah,
and then
kinda
there's
like
No. Charlie horse is
I know,
like
in
a
the
cramp.
leg. No, that's what you
No,
punch
you
somebody
get a
in the
Charlie
leg.
horse, you get punched in the arm like that too. So the
Wait.
punch-
Hold on.
So let's unwrap this a second. Let's back the bus up. So you're telling me a Charlie horse. What's a Charlie horse?
Like when your leg
That's like a
gets
cramp.
hit.
Like
a cramp.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're saying somebody could do something to.
A
Yeah,
Charlie
like
horse
if I-
when you get hit,
Hold
and a
on.
bump comes up in your muscle.
Oh,
No.
No, that's
I've never heard
That's
Maybe I grew up in Texas, and maybe I'm giving myself away. But a frog, you'd make
I've
a
got
knuckle.
that. I know that. I
And
know
you'd
that.
hit somebody in the arm, and it would sting, right? So I'm describing that as a traditional recoil pad. Okay, same rifle.
So we're going to get
is your
back on the
frog.
subject.
Yeah,
I guess,
I'm
but I was
trying
still
bring
trying to
it
figure
back.
out the Charlie
I'm still
horse
trying to
thing.
bring it
Okay.
back. With this new recoil pad, same amount of force. It's like you would then hit somebody with the whole entire palm of your hand with the same amount of force. It just completely deadens it. It takes that like sharp hit out.
Yeah.
And it's
One
amazing.
thing that we've done when we've shown people this gun, and I don't know who came up with it first, but I remember thinking, all I got to do is drop these guns on the ground next to each other on the recoil pad, and I'm assuming the 3D hex one will just not bounce as much.
And it doesn't. It just
It
dies.
bounces once.
Just
It literally, you can drop a gun right up, boom, boom. And if you drop a regular recoil pad, no hating on our current recoil pads or anybody's, but it bounces 5-6 times.
yeah.
Same exact
like a
gun.
basketball.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
So it's really is innovative and definitely helps like tremendously with recoil.
Yeah.
So-
It's so great to carry that thing around for a week in the woods and just you
I
don't,
went out
you don't
this
have to pay
last
anymore.
weekend hunting. I took the backcountry, as we say, non-TI.
Yeah.
So it's the tan and brown, and it's a. So people go, oh, titanium, it's expensive. Well, titanium is expensive, no doubt.
It's harder to machine. It costs more in the raw. Everything.
It costs a lot more in the raw. For a lot of people, it's worth it for that extra half a pound in because the word titanium's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure, and I don't know because I'm saying this on a recording, but I believe it's the most current, most affordable production rifle with the titanium action that's out there. But I don't know.
Because that's our
Somebody might prove me
podcast,
wrong.
I'll just agree.
Oh yeah, I think so.
As long as you say, to
but-
my knowledge, you're covered.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then,
yeah.
But what's cool is you can take the titanium off,
think it's
add
true.
about a half a pound, or
Yeah.
only 4.
Yeah, it's not even. It's like
410.
0.4, yeah.
4/10 of a pound.
Because the TI in the 6 slug is 4.9, and then what is it, 5.3?
5.3, yeah.
Yeah, in the other one, and so it's a more affordable way to be able to still kind of take
Yeah,
the
and-
technologies that recoil pad.
Yeah, and the color scheme's different. I mean, obviously through a custom shop, you can get whatever you want, but
Yeah. See, I was going here out into a little bit more brownish terrain, and so
they don't want the black
I took
and
the
gray.
rifle that would go with the terrain.
Sure. Yeah. Because you're Adam Weatherby.
Yeah.
We have an office full of prototypes
Yeah,
right
yeah.
now.
Yeah.
And it was fun to haul around.
Absolutely. So we talked about the recoil pad. We
Yeah.
talked about the titanium receiver.
Yeah.
We skipped a little bit on the stock itself. So it's a carbon fiber stock, AG Composites. I missed the shout out. So that AG Composites stock is to my knowledge, I think we said we can say that it's the lightest production stock that I'm aware of.
To my knowledge, it is too.
So
And it's on a podcast. Podcasts are true.
Everything
it's
on,
on the
a podcast
internet,
is
so it
true.
must be true. No, it really it is. We saved weight in the receiver and the recoil pad and the stock itself.
We actually designed new recoil, a new muzzle brake as well.
Yeah.
Our Accubrake ST, so it is a little bit thinner, a little lighter weight.
Sure. Slimline muzzle brake on the backcountry rifles. We've hollowed out the bolt handle.
Yeah.
So a little bit of weight savings there. I mean, everywhere we could, we were saving
and
ounces.
just to note, we did add a couple other cartridges into our 6 lug. The 6mm Creedmoor, which I know there's a following for, and some folks are going to like. Meaning in the 6mm, you're going to have 240, which is the same bullet. It's going to be faster, but the 280 Ackley Improved has a pretty
Actually, an ounce lighter
cultish
or
following.
4.8 pounds.
Oh, yeah. It is. If you don't know, I mean, we obsess about ounces over here over this backcountry rifle, obviously. And so usually the bigger the cartridge, the bigger the bore, the less steel's in there, so it weighs less. So the 280 Ackley Improved is going to weigh probably an ounce lighter just because it's a 284 instead of a 264. Right. And so, but that 280 Ackley Improved in that thing's going to be a sweet round in that backcountry series of rifles,
Absolutely.
too. So,
But yeah, I mean, a lot of people have been wondering why. Why come out another 6.5? Why do that? But
I think
the real question, I mean, the real answer is that it's important to communicate that we did just like come out with a 6.5 just because like we thought it would be fun to come out with one.
because there's a lot out there.
There's a lot out there.
Yeah.
It was a purpose-driven project.
And it'll be great in other models, too. I think folks are going to like it, or folks that don't want a belt, folks that don't want all the powder that goes into that 6.5 300. So I think it's going to, folks are going to want it in other things, too. But, it was primarily for that 6-lug action.
Yeah. And you want to talk about a gun that Accumark Pro in a 6.5 Weatherby RPM. Which is a carbon fiber stock, full Cerakote, that whole shebang. But you get a 6-lug action in a 6.5 Weatherby RPM. It's a little bit heavier with the carbon fiber stock. That is
Carbonmark Pro or Carbonmark in the Carbonmark series.
New Carbonmark family.
There's one other feature I didn't think we touched on, and that was the Trigger Tech triggers.
Shout out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually, here's the deal. We did
too much.
We launched, we've been busy. And we're feeling it for sure. We did just get done with the move too. But in the midst of that move, we were working on all these things. And this is a thing for years. Triggers has always been a big conversation. And we always have had really our own trigger, our own Mark V trigger. And a few years back, we developed the LXX trigger, great trigger. We're not, I think it's okay to say this, we're not specialists in triggers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
We make the rifles, and so they're the accuracy and the velocity and the fit and finish and craftsmanship and all those things are really important. But what we did is we went to who we felt is making the best trigger on the planet right now, Trigger Tech, and they make them for the 700 platform and different things, but certainly not for the Mark V. And so we said with that, it's there's zero creep in it, total different design trigger. And when people feel it, they go, this is amazing. Yeah. And so we said, what if we went to specialists in trigger and said, just make us the doggone best trigger you can make for the Mark V, going off of really the success they've had on their 700 platform, Trigger Tech trigger. And they were able to do that for us. And so all new Mark Vs now are having the Trigger Tech trigger.
Yeah. Huge upgrade.
I think, part of it's like, it's our Weatherby thing. And like, you have to let go of that. But it's a phenomenal trigger.
Yeah, it really is.
It simplifies things for us. If you think about the trigger itself, it's got the most single components of the whole rifle. I mean, there's tons of stuff going on in the trigger, and by eliminating that from us just buying something from Trigger Tech and throwing it in there, it makes us able to focus on
the bandwidth to focus on the things that we do best.
RPM and other things.
Yep, and that's it. So that was a good move. It's coming in all Mark Vs now, and you're right, glass. It's another thing. It's coming on the Backcountry series. So
yeah, we ought to be. The exciting thing is too, we're going to be killing some stuff here pretty soon. We've already tried to kill some stuff, but we're unsuccessful.
Yeah, Kevin and I were out last weekend. Not a lot of shots fired.
Opening weekend, it was
90-something in Wyoming.
95.
Really yeah.
I almost died.
Dude.
I'm not kidding. I mean,
Dehydration?
I really did feel I definitely almost had
We mountain biked into some BLM and hiked and mountain biked and hiked. So, I mean, I think in the 95-degree heat on Sunday, I put 12 miles on a mountain bike and about 8 or 9 miles on my boots with my pack.
Adam's stupid.
90-something degree heat.
Yeah, I didn't do that, by the way. I literally just tried to bike back to the truck and almost died.
He just tried to find a tree in the shade and then
Zero
was, quote,
trees.
glassing.
Just glassing in the shade.
Yes.
Hey, I saw
AKA
some big
napping.
bucks. Saw some booners.
How was the bike ride back to the truck?
The bike ride back to the truck was the worst part of the day. Maybe the worst part of the month so far.
No, it was when we were biking up,
So
and he's
hot.
like, so how about them e-bikes that are out there?
Yeah, that's what we need to be looking into.
Was it as hot as the office the last time we were in here?
Yeah, last podcast, no AC.
Oh, yeah.
It was hotter.
It was hot.
What?
Oh, my gosh, dude. And there wasn't a tree or shade. I mean, it was brutal, man. It was all uphill.
It was bad.
And, also, no water. So this is the other little factor to this.
Why did you have
Yeah,
No
we had to pack
water,
in our water.
No water, no ice. When we got to the truck, the water was 90 degrees.
Biggest mistake of the weekend
Maybe no, it was not.
was Kevin not
Be
putting
careful.
ice.
There was other mistakes made.
Kevin not putting ice in the Yeti and having cold drinks available for us when we rode back to the truck.
Yeah.
That was tough.
He's going to point the finger at me, but there were other mistakes made.
Wait, did I make them?
I think you made a mistake.
Nope.
He did. He made a mistake.
Wait, I'm trying to think of
I'm trying to think of it too, but I know you did it because when you blamed me for the water and the icing, I was like, nope, this was a worse mistake. And you were like, I think you're right.
But you can't remember what it was?
I can't. Listen, we're in the middle of a podcast.
Okay.
I'm glad you guys got out. I was watching the weather and I'm thinking, man, it's going to be so hot. So I've got a project. I was trying to build a shed before winter, and I got mostly done with that. But it was just so hot.
Yeah.
So hot.
Yeah, I'm going today. Pretty
Game on.
excited.
Game on.
So speaking of heat, let's transition into the heat dissipation that comes from a carbon fiber barrel
Wow.
in our new Carbonmark.
Wow. Dude, we got a sound effect
Yeah.
for that transition?
Yeah.
How about do
Anything. What do you got? Just
Oh,
just a ding.
Yeah.
I'm excited about the new Carbonmark. So obviously it's a different barrel than we used in the past. So we've got new barrels from BSF barrels, and they're manufactured in a different way. So that barrel, they start with a big piece of steel barrel, number 4 contour barrel, big bull barrel. Remove a ton of the steel around it, and actually the base barrel is fluted as well for extra heat dissipation, weight savings. So they thread the muzzle in, and then they slide a tube of carbon fiber on over the barrel. And then they use a compression nut and compress the barrel, thus tensioning or elongating the barrel in a controlled way. That's part of their BSF's process. But since most of the field of the barrel is the steel is not touching the carbon, you've got airspace there, and air is a really good insulator or not. Well,
Or
it's not
Not
a good conductor, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So
Like 95% didn't touch it.
yeah, about 95% of the carbon's not touching the steel, which is opposite of how we used to do it, where all of the carbon was basically touching, which is insulating the barrel. So he has to go somewhere, right? So inside, it's cooling a lot better than just having all the carbon touching it. And we've seen some great results with that.
Both accuracy, we're finding a great accuracy in the barrels, and then obviously the heat dissipation, factor is huge. I think, a lot of people, there's carbon fiber barrels are real popular right now. And then because it's carbon fiber, everybody thinks it's lighter, but
This is an important topic.
we
I was about to
do have to
transition this.
remember there is steel. The bullet is traveling through a steel, barrel.
Mm-hmm.
And then there is carbon fiber on it. So people, why didn't you put that on the backcountry or something?
It's not lighter.
It's not lighter.
Yeah.
Now, could you fire more rounds without the barrel heating up? Yes, absolutely.
Could it look cooler? For sure.
Yeah.
But I actually
would it cost
we
more?
could
Yes,
ask
but-
this question every day. But the carbon fiber barrel does not make it lighter. It makes it lighter of a barrel up
the
to
same
the
contour.
exact same contour.
Yes.
Right. So
That's
it's
what it
lighter.
is.
Let's say you take equivalent to, say, a number 4, 3 or 4 heavier barrel. It gives great heat dissipation and better rigidity and all the different things that
it's
a
much
heavier
stiffer.
barrel
Yep.
for shooting targets and more rounds without the weight.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it does very well.
Yeah.
For if you're going into the backcountry and you expect to fire hopefully one round, if not a magazine, if you got to unload or you make a bad, first shot placement or whatever it is, or compensate for wind, incorrectly, then yeah, you're shooting a few rounds. Then it's not needed as much in that circumstance. It certainly is if you plan to shoot multiple rounds. And frankly, if you do shoot a thinner barrel, like on the backcountry, and you are at the range, you're trying to sight it in,
They heat up quick.
you need to watch it. You
Yeah.
do. And the carbon fiber barrels help that quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
Well, we've got 3 models with the Carbonmark. We don't need to go through all of them, but
Yeah, I'm just excited the engineering behind it. Carbon strongest on its long axis, and the way that this BSF barrel uses that and uses the compressive strength of carbon I think is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
well, among that, there's a bunch of other Mark V models on the website. The new website, as Luke said. So, definitely make sure to check those out. Obviously, the Accumark has a brand new collection of firearms, Accumark Pro, Accumark Elite, with a whole lot of features on each one of those. And then Weathermark got a bronze model now, and that thing honestly looks phenomenal.
Yeah. Looks cool.
And the Weathermark LT, which is phenomenal, fluted barrel as well.
That's a sleeper.
That's a great gun.
You like that one?
Yeah.
MSRP on that's
Super light, too.
$14.99. Not to shout out MSRPs here, but
Not the LT, the base Weathermarks.
base Weathermarks $14.99, which is incredible. But I mean, we've got some exciting things going on here, and we plan on hunting here in the next couple weeks with them, and we've already shot some stuff with it. So
Sure. A lot of other people, I'm trying to think of what other questions folks are asking on them. Obviously, some are like, hey, when can I get them? So we are here in September going to be shipping the first models. Now, we have a lot of models and a lot of, cartridge offerings and all those things. So, the one dude who's going to always ask about the lefty and the most obscure caliber and model combination, okay, that's probably not shipping next week. But in some of the most popular ones, it will be shipping. Of course, we're not going to ship the 6.5 RPM rifles until we ship the ammo, and we understand that. And so we're loading up that ammo now and building the rifles as we speak. And so in September, it will start going out, and as the fall goes on, we'll start kind of flooding shelves, at your local gun shop more and more with these new products.
Yep.
So
it's exciting times.
Yeah.
Definitely. Thanks for listening to the On Our Mark, the Weatherby podcast. Anybody else got any closing remarks?
No, I just, man, it's been a fun week. There's been so much traffic on the website, so many interactions on social media. We do our best to try to answer everybody, but man, there's been a barrage of comments. So it's
a lot of
been hard to
calls
keep
into
up
the
with
customer
everything.
service area, and just exciting times. So
go to your local dealer and ask them about these new Mark Vs. They should be headed there soon. So
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's
Good deal.
exciting. I think it shows, hopefully what people see, I mean, it's, we had our grand opening not even 90 days ago, and here we are relaunching our whole flagship line, and hopefully it's kind of an indicator that people can see the type of innovation, the type of change, the things that we're willing to do to try to put the best products in the hands of hunters and shooters out there at the best price that we possibly can, and that we're going to continue to push the envelope on that more and more. Not all products are going to be for all people, but we're going to continue to try to innovate and to try to put things out there, and we want for our customers to go, no way, they got something new, let's go check it out, and that's fun. And look forward to hearing the stories, seeing people post stuff on social media. It'd be fun to see, successful or unsuccessful hunts or whatever of things out there in the field. And so we always love seeing the hashtag Weatherby out there that people put on there and be able to see those things that are going on. So it'll be cool this season to kind of gradually see those things, see those things out there more and more. So it's great, but it's, I think, kind of come full circle on that Backcountry Ti and 6.5 RPM. I think people can always make a lot of claims, and a lot of brands can make claims. Let's take accuracy. Everybody can claim accuracy. I'm sure we do, and the next guy down the road does too. It's cool when you can, as a brand, it's neat for us when we can come out with something and confidently say, back to the, a sub 5 pound rifle, harnessing Magnum energy at a production rifle price, that I can confidently say I think we're leading the way in that. And we can't always say that on everything. I don't want to, act like we can. But when you can and you can do that, you're like, man, this is fun, and it pushes the industry to just be better. It pushes our competition to be better, just like they do for us. And it's been neat to see a lot of the innovation coming from even some of our competitors out there. And hopefully this will show people that Weatherby's not done, and we got a lot of road ahead of us.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't want to steal your closer because that was good, but it's been really fun because this week we've had industry partners reaching out to us that have sheep hunts and goat hunts and awesome hunts coming up literally weeks away, and they're wanting to make a change before they go. They're already dialed, and they're like, this is the thing that I need, and that's just really affirming that I think we got a really good recipe going. So
cool.
Absolutely.
All right, thanks for listening to this episode.